I started my career as an acupuncturist, kind of wanting to make a difference in the world and teach people to live naturally. I didn't really know that that usually meant having your own business. I actually kind of got the hang of marketing after lots of trial and error, and I went from working in a little yoga studio to owning a bigger clinic with different practitioners and yoga and a shop. Made a bunch of mistakes there, figured out some things that worked, ran that for 10 years, managed to sell it, not for a ton of money, but I really didn't want to have to close it. I wanted to be online. I was kind of tired of running an organization, a brick and mortar, and all that stuff. So at that point, I moved online. I had actually moved states too. So I had already been online somewhat. I was really intrigued by that space. I had done some events and had a little bit of a list, but I wasn't making like any money from any of it because I really just was relying on my clinic. And then when I sold the clinic, I was forced to figure out how to have an online business, and I've been doing that for 5 years.
Were you just like feeling your way as you went? Did you take other training? How did you get this far?
When I started my physical clinic, I really didn't have any training or support. I literally got some books out of the library, walked around my neighborhood and gave out coupons. It was pretty sad, really, when you think about it. But actually, like, that stuff does work somewhat because you're really showing up. So if I had my clinic day, because at first I was just renting a room, and if I didn't have any clients, I'd be like, okay, you need to read your marketing book and learn how to get clients. But then when I started online, I still had my clinic. I started with a coach out of California. It was just basically service business and finding your niche and creating sales conversations. It was more for service though. And so I was doing some service online, but I really didn't want to be anymore. I had spent 13 years working as an acupuncturist really hard, and I was just kind of done with service. I wanted to sell products. I did start selling products, wholesale, private label. I even was like part of a multi-level marketing, just basically trying stuff. And again, making some mistakes, but also having some wins. Then I had another coach too in the health space. But again, it wasn't a big focus on product. I think when I found Ryan's book, I was more like, I have to figure out e-commerce and selling physical product. So I was pretty excited about his content and how clear it was, because I was all over the place with all the different products I sold and all the ideas I had. So and then I started in the 1%, I think in January.
Tell me about these milestones, because I know you have a book, and tell me what else is up.
I wrote a book that came out February. Some other milestones, I formulated my first couple of supplements and had them manufactured in the last year. Also, kind of scary, maybe it was too soon, but I did it. Pretty recently gone on Amazon, and I'm starting to get sales, so that's been exciting for me. Had a couple $500,000 years. So I keep striving for that, my $1 million year.
How did you launch, and how did that go?
Since I have established a list over time, I just basically launched it to my list. So the first supplement was Black Friday last year, and I think I did 2 for 1. And I sold 10% of my inventory in that time, so that was good. And then I launched the second product in April, full price, but they got some like bonus content and coaching. And that did well too, probably almost 10% of my stock. I got way too much stock, to be honest.
And then did you somehow tie in your book and your supplements?
I specialize in detox, and especially detoxing from toxic mold. So the first supplement came out before the book to capture like Black Friday. And then I did a big summit about mold. And then I came out with the book. And then I came out with a second formulation. So it was a busy time. I've sold less units of the book than I anticipated. I was pretty worn out by the time that launch came, and I think it'll be good over time.
Did you self-publish, or did you have a publisher you worked with?
I self-published, so I learned that whole process. So the nice thing about self-publishing on Amazon is, you know, you are paying for like a proofreader and this and that, but you're not paying for any copies till they sell. And then we made the audio version and the Kindle version. They're still selling, not at a record pace, but they're selling and we have some good reviews. We did a book club. We'll do that again. So I think it's important to like rinse and repeat, learn your lessons, do it again. So we'll just do that.
And then how did the summits work in on this? Have you done it multiple times? How has it worked on your end?
I think I've done 7 summits. The first one was small. I did it by myself. I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't have any lists, and I got 1,000 people, and I was really excited. And I sold at a 10% rate, which I've never repeated since. I've had some go to almost 80,000 since then. So those bigger ones I've usually done with like a summit company who produces it. And I think the biggest one I had on my own was like 30,000, which isn't bad. So I usually recommend people just start with like a small thing. Doesn't even have to have any upsell necessarily, but you just get people on your list and show them who you are.
And so working with that summit company, did they handle your marketing for you as well? And you just showed up and do the thing, or?
All the back end and all the copy, but it's still work as the host because it's your relationships, your interview, but it's nice because it takes like a lot of the stress off of you. I think it's a great way to start to build your list.
We're looking at basically a mental transformation. So we thought something, now we know this. Would you care to take a crack at it?
One thing I really learned in the last 6 months, partly from being this group and seeing how like people are doing things pretty much on their own, is like I always felt like, oh, I need to hire this person and this person and this person. And then I've had a lot of staffing, had a lot of turnover and stuff. In the same time, I was having a very slow season unexpectedly. So I've really been doing a lot more of like the nuts and bolts business now, and learn like you don't always have to hire out an expert. I mean, we were down 33% the first half of this year, and I was like, I don't really have the money to rehire all these people. So that's one lesson I've learned. And then another I feel like I'm learning right now is I used to always just move to the next thing, Especially since I formulated these products in the book, I think what tends to happen is things don't go as well as I want. And then I feel down and I want to just run away. And now I'm like, actually, you have to dedicate to selling these things you already made. You don't get to move on. Third thing I'm starting to learn in my small group is like, I've also been a pretty horrible money manager. I just buy things, make decisions based on I want this or whatever. And I'm starting to turn that over too and being like, do you really need this? Just have not been a person who ran with a budget or any of that. I'm excited to do something different that means I'm going to make more money at the end of the day. I haven't worked for someone else in 15 years. First to be like, I don't have money, I'm going to be scrappy was like, hell no. But now I'm like embracing it.
What's your long-term plan with this?
First, grow the business to $1 million. I want to sell my products more consistently. I do already have a top 5 products that I can try to get to 25 a day. I feel like mine is a little different because I have other products, but I definitely want to be selling more units. I would like to be able to sell the company. And then I'm also kind of interested in some other angles to pursue, like writing another book and starting a skincare line.
I don't think I ever asked, like, what is your company name?
It's called Functional Detox Products.
Looking at your membership in the 1%, what would you say has been your favorite thing so far?
I pretty much just utilize the live training. I pretty much always go to my small group. I definitely like the other business owners and just like learning what they're doing, what they've tried. Sometimes I'm feeling discouraged and hearing someone else get coached about they're feeling similar. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not the only one. Then I get some good tips because I'm very new to Amazon and certain things. And like, so I'm learning some things about getting reviews or A+ content that I just like wouldn't have known anything about. You know, little by little, I'm starting to implement more. And I feel like I have a fairly different background than a lot of the people in my group. So this is my full-time job for a long time. And we have some other elements of the business that are making money. So there's only so fast I can go with product. So I've kind of just accepted that now.
Being in Phoenix, that's a huge place. Do you meet up with other entrepreneurs, or like, how do you handle the whole entrepreneur isolation thing?
It's not as like good as I'd like it right now. I only moved here 5 years ago, and I would mostly travel to conferences that I was already a part of. I did meet a few people, and then it was COVID. I had some friends here who are entrepreneurs, and I think those are my favorite kind of friends.
So what would you say drives you?
What drives me the most, I'd say 2 things. I just like to see if I can do something. I want to see if I can do this. idea I have. And I think I just want to see an idea like come to life. My coach pointed out to me, like, I'm pretty driven by education. I love to learn. So that's another thing that makes me want to move on to the next topic, as long as I can keep all the topics related. So I wrote a book on mold, and at the time I was like, I'll just talk about mold the rest of my life. And then I was like, no, I cannot do it. So the next book I think will be more about antioxidants and a little bit more mainstream. If you follow different influencers over time, what they do often evolve, right? Like,
Yeah, fantastic. If you ever need anything that I can help you with, just reach out. I'm here.
oh, appreciate it. Nice to meet you as well, and we'll
You
be in
too.
touch.
Sounds
Bye.
great. Take care. Bye, Bridget.